After the college entrance exams, I started tutoring a rich kid. The moment I stepped into my employer's house, I heard arguing. "Mom, what do I care if someone else got a scholarship? Going from the bottom of the class to a top-tier university? Huh, you're probably the only one who believes that crap. She wants to be my tutor? No way. Tell her to give the money back." I was about to make my excuses to the mom and leave, but when I looked up, I met a handsome, beet-red face. The rich kid stared at me and stammered, what I meant was, you didn't pay her enough. Give the money back so we can pay her more. My name is Larry. I'm a guy, I like girls, I'm 6 feet 1 inch, 172 pounds, and 18 years old. I want you, I only want you to be my tutor. Someone with a full ride to a top university is perfect. Thanks to my high school grades and a full scholarship to a top-tier university, I landed a high-paying part-time job just 5 days after finishing my own exams. My employer lived in a wealthy, gated community and even sent a car to pick me up. As soon as I stepped into the villa's entryway, I heard arguing from the living room. "What do you mean it's impossible to get into a good college with a year of review? The tutor I found for you has a scholarship to one of the best universities." "Mom, what do I care if someone else got a scholarship? The young lady said she can bring your grades up no matter how bad they are. Can't you just make things easy for me for once? Going from the bottom of the class to a top-tier university? Huh, you're probably the only one who believes that crap. She wants to be my tutor? No way. Tell her to give the money back. Even a dog would hate someone who makes such empty promises. Even a dog would hate me? What did I ever do to him? This kid really had it out for me." My employer had told me her son was rebellious, had terrible grades, was a troublemaker at school, and was incredibly stubborn. She offered a $10,000 bonus if I could get him into any 4-year college, and a $30,000 bonus for a top-tier one. Judging by his temper just now, it looked like the job and the bonus were both off the table. Great. Time to start looking for a new gig. I was getting ready to politely excuse myself to his mom, Mrs. Wilton. Just then, the butler behind me announced, "Madam, young master, Ms. Jenny has arrived." At the sound of his voice, the two of them stopped arguing and turned to look at me. "Oh, Jenny, you're here. My son is very resistant to tutoring. I'm afraid this job might not work out." "I'm so sorry," said Mrs. Wilton, apologizing to me. Every gesture she made was filled with grace and poise. I managed a stiff, awkward smile, trying to look as innocent and pitiful as possible. "It's okay, I understand. I'll refund the deposit. I just appreciate it if the butler could give me a ride back." As I looked up, my eyes met another face, this one flushed red and strikingly handsome. Our eyes locked, and for a second, I forgot to breathe. The rich kid stared at me and nervously blurted out, what I meant before was, the tutoring fee was too low. We should refund it and give you more." His voice was suddenly much gentler. I asked, confused, "Then you?" "Hi, my name is Larry. I'm a guy, I like girls, I'm 6 feet 1 inch, 172 pounds, and 18 years old." I hadn't asked him to introduce himself. Are all rich kids this sweet and clueless? Was he really the school troublemaker? I stared at the tall guy and asked tentatively, "So, you're okay with me being your tutor? You're not going to change your mind again?" My words made Larry blush from his cheeks all the way to the tips of his ears. "I want you, I only want you as my tutor. Someone with a scholarship to a top university is perfect. That's exactly what I need." Larry walked over, took my hand, and led me to sit on the sofa. Since my mom already paid the deposit, I can't let her down. When I didn't respond, he ran over to his mom and started acting cute. "Mom, could you please draw up 2 copies of a tutoring contract for us? And maybe raise the hourly rate a bit? We're going to sign with Ms. Jenny right now." Larry actually wanted to sign a contract with me? What was his deal, changing his mind so fast? He had to have some ulterior motive. It couldn't be that the rich kid fell for his tutor at first sight, right? Mrs. Wilton gave me a gentle look, then shot Larry a glare that lasted a solid 2 seconds. She said warmly, "There's fruit on the coffee table, help yourselves. I'll go prepare the contract. And Larry, now that you've agreed to have Jenny tutor you, you can't back out or give up halfway. Otherwise, I'm cutting off your allowance. By the way, Jenny, this is for all subjects. The 3 trial lessons will be $1,000 total. After that, the official rate is $800 per hour for in-person sessions and $600 per hour for video calls, paid monthly. Is that okay with you? For tutoring all subjects in our city, that was a pretty good price." I was very satisfied. No problem at all. Even though tutoring paid more in a major city like Beijing, the competition there was also much fiercer. After Mrs. Wilton left, the atmosphere in the living room suddenly became a little awkward. Larry and I just stared at each other, neither of us saying a word. I took in Larry and our surroundings, marveling inwardly. I had to admit, the Liu family was seriously rich. The villa's interior was magnificent. Larry himself was incredibly good-looking, though the platinum blonde highlights in his hair were a bit jarring. As my mind wandered, Larry suddenly spoke up. "Teacher, have you looked your fill? If not, you can keep going." His voice startled me. Snapping back to reality, I quickly changed the subject. "So, you're willing to let me tutor you and follow my lesson plan, right, little rich boy?" Since we were signing a contract, it was better to get these things clear up front. Larry nodded solemnly. "If you're willing to tutor me every day, I can listen to you on just about anything." I breathed a quiet sigh of relief. It seemed he was relatively easy to communicate with. I agreed to his terms. Even when I went off to college, I could still assign him homework remotely and supervise him through video calls at night to help with difficult problems. Mrs. Wilton returned quickly with the contracts, which even included the bonuses she had promised. We both signed on the dotted line. The moment I put the pen down, Larry said impatiently, "All right, teacher, let's go upstairs. I want to get into a university in Beijing too. You signed the contract, so you're my tutor now. You're not allowed to tutor anyone else." With that, he snatched my backpack and headed for the stairs, humming a little tune and muttering my name. He seemed to be in a great mood. This kid was definitely bossy and possessive. After nodding to Mrs. Wilton to let her know, I followed Larry upstairs. To my surprise, Larry led me to his bedroom, not the study. I'd always assumed teenage boys' rooms were messy, but his was neat and tidy. Sunlight streamed through the window, dappling the floor and making the whole room feel exceptionally bright and comfortable. It was just like the feeling Larry himself gave off. Clean, fresh, with a smile like a little sunbeam, but with a hint of rebelliousness at the same time. He had the whole 18-year-old high school guy vibe down pat. As I was lost in thought, Larry suddenly dropped a bomb. "Teacher, why are you looking at me like that? Are you trying to seduce me? You're good looking, all right? Now, as the cool school troublemaker, can you please find all your old tests for me?" Larry's eyes went wide, and his handsome face stayed beet red. "You're really pretty too, teacher. The prettiest, in my opinion. I'll go get them for you right now." For the next half hour, Larry sat obediently at his desk. Sometimes he'd rest his head on the desk, his big eyes staring straight at me. Other times he'd lean back lazily in his ergonomic chair with his hands clasped behind his neck, lost in thought. I sat beside him, flipping through his old tests. The number of correct answers was depressing, but he had beautiful handwriting, elegant with a touch of wildness. "You're about to start the summer before your senior year. I'll start you from the basics. As long as you're willing to learn, your final exam results will prove that it's not too late for someone to help you catch up. You're paying enough money and spending a year to get everything I spent 3 years learning and summarizing. It's a fair trade of effort and reward for both of us." Larry completely agreed with me. "Yep, for the next year, I'm all yours. Please take good care of me from now on. I want to be a good student too." "Okay, good student." I handed him a few sets of practice tests. Finish all of these. Start with English, math, and language arts. Starting tomorrow, I'll go over the problems with you while we review, and then within 3 days, I'll create a detailed study plan for you. For today, I'll just teach you some tricks for memorizing classic poems and English vocabulary, and we'll work on your pronunciation and listening skills. The session is 3 hours, with a short break in the middle. Just as he'd promised, Larry turned into a model student overnight. He learned exactly as I taught. He went from having a short attention span to proactively asking me questions. It was a good start. And with that, the trial lessons were over. Larry raved about me to his mom, praising me to the skies. The next day, I went to his house as usual to tutor him according to the plan. I was spending almost the entire day at the Lou's house, so I brought my own food. Before lunchtime, while Larry was still working on a test, I decided to grab a bite. I quietly pulled some snacks out of my bag and started eating. Even though I was quiet, I still managed to distract him. He teased, "Teacher, are you doing this on purpose? Is this some new kind of punishment for your students?" I told him seriously, "Larry, this is my lunch. When you're taking a test in a classroom, there will be all kinds of noises around you. You need to get used to it. If I finish this test, can I have some of your snacks?" Larry asked, looking at me with puppy dog eyes. I tossed him my backpack. "If you want some, go ahead. There's more in the bag." Larry took my bag, opened it, and looked shocked. "Don't tell me you eat this stuff for lunch and dinner?" He dumped all the snacks out onto the desk. I nodded. "I just eat whatever. As long as it keeps me from being hungry." Larry looked at me with a pained expression. "Why don't you just eat with us here at my house?" I refused. "No, thank you. We were from different worlds. I was just the rich kid's tutor, nothing more." For the next 5 days, I went to his house after he got out of school and tutored him for 2 hours each evening. The following Saturday, my class had a graduation dinner and then we were going out for karaoke, so I canceled our evening tutoring session. At the karaoke bar, my classmates started a game of truth or dare. When it was the chemistry rep's turn, he chose truth, and then walked nervously over to me, his face flushed. "Jenny, I like you. I really, really like you. Will you be my girlfriend?" A classmate confessing to me, the atmosphere turned awkward fast. Just as I was trying to figure out how to gently turn him down, Larry shoved himself between me and Kevin. His tone was sharp. "You? My teacher would never like a guy like you." The kid's eyes were dark as he looked Kevin up and down, using his height advantage to intimidate him. He was acting so aggressively, as if I belonged to him. I quickly apologized. "I'm so sorry, Kevin. He's one of my tutoring students. He doesn't think before he speaks. I'm not looking to date anyone right now. You should probably find someone else to like. You'll meet the right person in college. Thank you for your feelings, though." To ease the tension, I sent a quick message to our group chat and then dragged Larry out of there. In the taxi, I joked with Larry, "You didn't follow me here on purpose, did you?" He turned his head to look out the window, his unhappy tone giving him away. "Huh, like I have time for that. Did the young master have a few drinks tonight?" "You drank too, teacher. There's no law against underage drinking, is there?" It was a long ride, so Larry and I chatted off and on. Back at the karaoke bar, you shouldn't have talked to Kevin like that. Everyone deserves to be liked, no matter what kind of person they are. Even the worst people have someone who likes them. Besides, people will get the wrong idea and think you have a thing for me, you little kid. Hearing that, Larry's face instantly turned red, like a cat whose fur had been rubbed the wrong way. He retorted loudly, "I'm not little. One day, I'll find a chance to show you." Pfft. His words made me choke. The atmosphere turned awkward. I hoped the driver couldn't hear us. "Ahem, no need to prove anything to me. You're younger than me, so you still have to call me teacher. And a tutor is a teacher, you know." Larry's eyelashes fluttered. He clenched his fists in front of him and said shyly, "Well, teacher, can you teach me something else then? Teach me how to pursue a girl, how to date." I gently pushed him back a bit. "Larry, you can't be so shameless. The contract says I'm only responsible for your studies. I'll pay extra. I'll give you my entire year's allowance, $10,000. After the college entrance exams, you can teach me how to pursue you. We'll see." The kid said with a straight face, "So, teacher, did you notice I was trying to seduce you just now?" I took a deep breath. "Larry, I really wasn't thinking about that." Larry said, "But I want you to think about that." 10 minutes later, I got out of the car first. I heard Larry's voice from behind me. "Ms. Jenny, don't be late tomorrow. I want to see you the moment I get home." I waved back over my shoulder without turning around. Got it. This kid's moods were so unpredictable. He was a handful. The startled wind sweeps by under the white sun, the fleeting scenery gallops to the west. Time flew by, and soon it was July. In less than a month, I had crammed all the most basic knowledge points for each subject into Larry's head, along with strategies for guessing multiple choice answers and how to squeeze out extra points on essay questions. The second week of July brought final exams. 3 days after the exams ended, Larry sent me his report card. There were over 1,800 students in the sophomore class at Redcrest High, and Larry had jumped from the bottom of the rankings to 1,500th place. His total score had improved from over 270 on the midterm to over 360. He was still weak in every subject, which proved he had barely studied for the past 2 years, but he was fundamentally a smart person. To celebrate his progress, Larry invited me to his house for dinner. I declined. He then shamelessly asked for my address, saying he would buy groceries and come cook for me at my place. In this world, besides my mom and myself, there was no one I was willing to cook for. So when Larry showed up at my door with bags of groceries, I told him I didn't know how to cook. The young master, whose hands had never touched dishwater, excitedly announced that he would cook for me personally. Given permission, Larry was overjoyed. I sat at the dining table, looking over his final exam papers. An hour later, the kitchen was filled with thick, choking black smoke that was already seeping into the living room. I went into the kitchen and found a teary-eyed Larry in a wok with a hole poked through it. Just what you'd expect from a rich kid. More trouble than he was worth. It was both infuriating and hilarious. I casually turned on the range hood and opened the kitchen window, then pulled Larry out of the kitchen and slid the door shut. Larry rushed to explain, "Your pot is such bad quality. I only scraped it a few times and it got a hole. All the meat fell onto the stove. I didn't do it on purpose." I never thought the arrogant and flamboyant rich kid could look so helpless. His tone was soft, and the expression on his face was priceless. I was enjoying this. I smirked and teased, "Clearly, you were just too strong." Hearing that, Larry awkwardly turned his head away and rubbed his nose to ease his tension. He muttered, "A man needs to have drive. That way, he can easily pick up his wife and carry her on his hip." What on earth was this kid thinking about all day? No wonder his grades were so bad. I didn't want to deal with him anymore. I called my mom and ordered some takeout to be delivered to the courier station where she worked. My mom worked at the station in our apartment complex, and when I was home, I would cook for her and bring it over, using the walk back and forth to listen to the BBC to strengthen my English listening and speaking skills. While I was on the phone, Larry followed me around like a shadow. As soon as I hung up, he sidled up to me and started chattering. "I've already told our butler to buy a new pot and have it sent over. Let's go out for dinner tonight. I've studied your social media feed, line by line. It seems like you enjoy barbecue, teacher. Pick a good spot and take me there. My treat. We can even get some extra for you to take home to your mom. Going out to eat is fine, but it seems I haven't given you enough homework. Is that why you're so free? You even have time to study my social media." Larry immediately drooped his head like a child who had been caught doing something wrong, his voice wilted. I just sneak a little time during my breaks because I want to get to know you better. I was unmoved, my tone serious. You've had a 3-day break. We're back to tutoring tomorrow. Your goal for the first monthly exam of your senior year is 450. You have almost 2 months to improve. Once school starts, your tutoring time will be shorter. Larry looked like he was holding something back, but after a moment of hesitation, he agreed. Okay. After all, I'm a man who wants to get into a top university, a cool school tough guy who wants to win over his teacher. There was a food street about half a mile from my house. It started getting lively around 6 p.m. Aside from class outings and dorm dinners, I had never been to any upscale restaurants. Eating at a food stall or a small eatery where the bill was over $50 per person was a luxury I could only afford twice a month. I could tell that Larry had never eaten at a place like this before. Everything from the way he used a stack of napkins to wipe down his chair before sitting, to the long list of things he couldn't eat that he recited when ordering, seemed out of place on this street. Since a rich guy was treating, I ordered a ton of my favorite meat skewers, getting 2 of each kind I usually couldn't bring myself to buy. I also ordered an extra portion of my mom's favorites. After about a half-hour wait, the owner brought our food over. Larry copied my movements, eating the food he once would have scoffed at with great relish. I never thought this street-side barbecue could be so delicious. I reminded him, street food might be tasty, but while it's not filthy, it's not exactly clean either. People with sensitive stomachs can easily get an upset stomach. You should stop by a pharmacy on the way back and get some medicine just in case. Hearing this, Larry nodded happily. Whatever the teacher says. From the moment we sat down, Larry's eyes never left me, a constant smile playing on his lips. I love lamb skewers. Seeing me devour 3 in a row, as I started on my 4th, Larry snatched the half-eaten one from my hand. And took a huge bite. If you like them, just order more. Don't you have a thing about germs? Larry's cheeks were puffed out with food, making him look like a hamster. After swallowing, he replied, the one in your hand tastes better. I may be a germaphobe, but my germophobia doesn't include you, teacher. Ha. Faced with Larry's flirtatious comment, I decided to nip it in the bud. Oh, so eating my leftover skewer is fine, just don't get any ideas about me. I know saying this might make me sound a bit full of myself, but it saves me a lot of unnecessary trouble. As soon as the words left my mouth, the smile on Larry's face froze and then slowly crumbled. I'm sorry. But teacher, you really hurt my feelings. It was the first time in his life someone had shot him down so bluntly. He was so mad. But he quickly composed himself. His face was a mask of exaggerated heartbreak as he said with a grin, but I won't give up. And I'll keep studying hard, of course. After we got back from the barbecue place, I received a bank transfer from Mrs. Wilton for the tutoring fees, totaling over $68,000. That night, I spent more than 3 hours organizing the mistakes from Larry's final exams, collecting relevant concepts and practice problems, and printing them into a booklet. The next morning, carrying a bag full of materials, I got into the Liu family's car and headed to their house to continue my duties as a tutor. The tutoring didn't pause until both Larry and I were about to start school. In nearly 50 days, Larry had mastered the foundational knowledge for all subjects, and he had also caught up on memorizing English vocabulary and classic poetry. I set aside 3 days to organize the materials I needed for my freshman year of college and to buy a few things to take to school. Meanwhile, Larry needed to give his brain a proper break. The day I left for college, Larry drove me to the airport. He told me the birthday on his ID was a year older than his actual age, so he was already an adult and I shouldn't worry. Before I went through security, Larry asked me, "Will you come back for the fall break?" I pulled out my phone to check the calendar, but Larry stopped me. The national holiday is a few days before the Mid-Autumn Festival this year, so they'll probably be combined into one long break. I thought for a moment and replied, "If the break is longer than 5 days, I'll come back." You have to keep your word. Flying from Shenzhen to Beijing, including the time spent at the airport, I arrived on the university campus 6 hours later. With the help of some upperclassmen, I quickly completed my registration, settled into my 4-person dorm room, and called my mom to let her know I was safe. My 3 roommates were all impressive. Alice from Qingdao had scored in the top 20 in her province on the entrance exams, and the other 2, from Chengdu and Wuhan, also had scholarships. All 4 of us were in the College of Chemistry and Molecular Engineering, but I was the only one majoring in polymer materials and engineering because I planned to return to Shenzhen after graduation, and this major was a good fit for me. My freshman year course load wasn't too packed. I tried to get all my own work done during the day, leaving a 2-hour block in the evening for Larry. The first night of remote video tutoring felt a little strange. Even though I kept my voice as low as possible, my roommates still found out. They were curious about my student and even started teasing me. "Jenny, you can't let such a cute younger guy get away. Did you guys grow up together? He probably doesn't have a girlfriend, right? Is he your child groom? Otherwise, why would you still be tutoring him from so far away in Beijing? You're so dedicated." And Larry, even through the screen, I could see him blushing from his cheeks to his neck and all the way to his ears. I sighed, took off my headphones, and shut down my roommates gossiping. I signed a contract with his mom. "I'm getting paid for this, so please don't jump to conclusions. The kid on the other side of the screen is sensitive. He can't handle you guys talking like that. What if it affects his studying? Besides, I plan on actually dating in college. If this rumor gets out and ruins my chances, are you all going to chip in and find me a boyfriend?" Alice laughed and slung an arm around my shoulder, turning her back to the phone. "We'll find you one, definitely. My boyfriend is in the literature department here. I'll have him introduce you to some guys." "Sounds good," I said, pretending to agree. But in reality, I had no intention of finding a boyfriend. I only said that to make Larry give up on any ideas he had about me. My priority was my studies and making money to escape poverty. Soon, my roommates moved on, and I ended the tutoring session for the night. After washing up and lying in bed on my phone, I received a message from Larry. "Larry, teacher, can you please not date anyone for a while? Just for a year. Larry, I know I have no right to ask you for anything, and I promised I would study hard. Larry, I'm begging you. Can you just give me 1 year? Larry." Image a selfie of him in bed, his eyes red and welling with tears, looking wronged and holding back sobs. I waited 20 minutes before replying. "I'll give you 1 year to try and win me over. As for what happens after that, we'll see how you do." After Larry and I made our deal, his study progress accelerated significantly. Once he mastered the basics, he moved on to extensions and applications of the concepts. He learned to think critically, analyze problems, and break down complex questions step by step. The first monthly exam of his senior year arrived. For the first time, he showed real anxiety about his studies. I comforted him, "Don't worry, you can do this." As his tutor, I believed in him, and I believed in my own abilities. After Larry finished his exam, I was also about to start my 8-day holiday for the combined National Holiday and Mid-Autumn Festival. Because I got the vacation notice early, I was able to buy round-trip tickets between Shenzhen and Beijing. If I didn't go home, I would have explored Beijing with my roommates. But going home meant I could have a holiday reunion with my mom, and I could also squeeze in a few days of tutoring to earn money to pay her rent for the next year. Before boarding my flight on the morning of September 30th, Larry asked for my flight details. When I walked out of the airport, it was already 2 p.m. I didn't expect Larry to be there to pick me up. But I didn't make a fuss and just got into his luxury car. A free ride is a free ride. As soon as I was in the passenger seat, Larry leaned over to fasten my seatbelt. He explained in a low voice, "I was afraid you'd forget." I just grunted in acknowledgement. Then I called my mom. It was so nice of the young master to come pick me up. "I actually brought some food for you from Beijing. Remind me to get it out for you when we get back." "Okay." Even though we had just seen each other on video last night and chatted a bit this morning, I felt like something about Larry had changed. I took the initiative and asked, How did your monthly exam go? Larry said flatly, I estimated my score. Should be around 450, no problem. That was it. Larry was quieter than before. Since he wasn't inclined to talk, I didn't want to bother him while he was driving, so I stayed quiet too. Half an hour passed quickly. During that time, Larry secretly glanced at me several times, looking like he wanted to say something but holding back. The kid was acting really strange today. I rested my hand on the car window frame and stared at Larry's hands gripping the steering wheel. If you have something to say, just say it. Bottling it up isn't like you. Larry looked pained. I'm afraid if I talk too much, you'll find me annoying. Because I like you, teacher, but I don't want you to feel burdened. I sighed. I don't feel that way. As long as you study seriously, I don't care what you do. Just be yourself. There's no need to change who you are. Hearing this, Larry's eyes dropped, and he looked visibly sad. So, will you come to my house tomorrow, teacher? When do the results for your monthly exam come out? I asked. October 3rd. I tapped my fingers against the car window, thinking for a moment. I'll send you another set of practice tests. Print them out and finish them tomorrow or the next day if you have time. Once your report card is out, I'll go over the questions you struggled with on the new tests. Okay. After I got home, I gave Larry 4 bags containing the 8 roast ducks that had taken up more than half of my suitcase for him to take home. I spent 2 wonderful days at home with my mom, cooking her some of the northern dishes I had tried at school. I have a real talent for cooking. If I've tasted a dish once, as long as I have the ingredients and a recipe, I can replicate it, and it always tastes pretty good. On October 3rd, Larry shared his good news. With a score of 466, he had broken into the top 800 in his grade. Mrs. Wilton also transferred my tutoring fees on time, over $37,000. Between the tutoring fees, the award from my high school for getting the scholarship, and the entrance scholarship from my university, plus a little I had saved from previous part-time jobs, I now had $140,000 in savings. When I arrived at the Lou's house, Larry had just finished lunch. I followed him straight up to the 3rd floor. He was very obedient. He had already finished the practice tests I assigned and had even graded them and corrected his own mistakes. The problems he still didn't understand after checking the answers, he saved to ask me. Then, based on his performance, I adjusted our tutoring focus. It was so much easier explaining things to him now compared to when we first started. However, the frequency of Larry blushing in front of me had increased. Except for spending the Mid-Autumn Festival at home with my mom, I spent the 4th, 5th, and 7th at the Lou's house, still tutoring for 8 hours a day. On the evening of the 7th, Larry asked me out of the blue, "Teacher, do you want to hear me play the piano?" I was a bit taken aback. "You can play the piano?" Larry looked at me smugly. "Besides the piano, I can also play the guitar. Wanna hear?" When I play the guitar, all my classmates say I look so cool. I said, suddenly, I don't want to hear it anymore. Larry's tone immediately softened, with a hint of pleading. "Are you sure you don't want to hear it?" I took a deep breath, weighed my options, and agreed. "All right, just for tonight, I'll be your audience." Larry playing the piano was a completely different sight. The young man's posture was elegant and focused, the music dancing under his fingertips. In that moment, he bore a striking resemblance to his mother, like pristine white snow that couldn't be sullied. I secretly recorded a video of Larry playing the piano on my phone. When the piece ended, I was left wanting more. Larry then picked up his guitar, crossed his long legs on the stool, and played and sang a rendition of Confession Balloon. The way he looked at me, every lyric he sang, felt like a confession. I had to admit, in that moment, the earnest and pure-hearted Larry made my heart skip a beat. Larry drove me home that night. As the car was about to pull away, Larry stuck his head out the window. He shouted from a distance, "Teacher, please remember your promise. Don't date anyone else. Give me a chance to win you over." The day before my break ended, I flew back to Beijing. Day after day, my life revolved around the dorm, the cafeteria, the academic buildings, and the library. I joined club activities and occasionally visited a landmark or two in the capital. As I met more and more people, I started getting attention from guys on campus. Because of my promise to Larry, I turned down all the guys from my school and others. One day, Larry suddenly asked me if I was coming back for winter break. He said his 18th birthday was coming up, on the 10th day of the first lunar month, and asked if I could celebrate with him. He also mentioned that he saw on my university's online forum that a guy had confessed his feelings to me. His jealousy, his excessive focus on my life, and his lack of trust in the promise I made annoyed me. So, aside from our regular tutoring sessions, I ignored him for a week. Under this training, Larry finally promised me again and again that he wouldn't waste his precious senior year on such things anymore. After that, Larry's grades steadily improved with each monthly exam, midterm, and final. By the time my own finals were over, Larry's final exam scores were already out. 540. His scores in each subject were relatively balanced, and he had squeezed into the top 200 of his grade. For those 3 months of tutoring, I earned over $130,000, bringing my savings to $250,000. Winter break. My days back home were once again spent as a tutor, cooped up in his room with Larry, studying all sorts of practice problems. The progress bar of time moved quickly. Laba Festival, Little New Year, Valentine's Day. On February 14th, Larry sent me a watch worth about $1,000. His family had gone to their hometown for the new year, so he had mailed it to me. The price of the watch was within a range I was willing to accept, but I refused his gift. We were not a couple. However, I did mail him a large package from my city. Because I rejected his gift, Larry didn't reply to my messages for several hours. It wasn't until he received the package I sent that he video called me. His face was full of anticipation. "Teacher, the thing you sent me is so heavy. Don't tell me it's some antique you found in a back alley in Beijing?" I held back a laugh. "Are you excited? Why don't you hurry up and open it?" A minute later, a shocked scream came from my phone. "Ah! Teacher, why is it all review materials and practice tests for every subject?" I had a matter-of-fact look on my face. "So? Do you like it? Isn't it a great surprise? You only have 6 months until the college entrance exams. Sending you review materials is a given. It took me a lot of time to put this together for you. After you're done with New Year's greetings and visiting relatives, remember to do your practice questions." 3 days after Valentine's Day was New Year's Eve. My mom and I celebrated the new year in our rental apartment, just the two of us. Now that the financial pressure was off my mom, her whole demeanor had brightened considerably. That evening, as my mom and I were watching the New Year's gala and eating our dinner, I got a video call from Larry. "Jenny, Happy New Year's Eve." This was the first time Larry had called me by my name so openly. "Larry, Happy New Year. Are you doing okay back in your hometown?" I rarely asked about Larry's personal life. "I'm not doing great. It's so boring here. I miss you a lot, teacher." I couldn't help but smile. "Didn't you ask me to celebrate your birthday with you? You'll see me in a few days when you get back." My mom knew I was tutoring Larry, so she didn't ask why he was contacting me at that time. On the 9th day of the Lunar New Year, Larry sent me a message on WeChat, "I'm back." Those few short words were enough to stir my emotions. Me, "What do you want for your birthday?" Larry, "Anything from you is fine." Larry, "That afternoon, I'm going to have lunch with my friends and close classmates at a fancy hotel, and then we'll hang out at a club for a bit." Larry, "Can you come pick me up at 8 in the evening?" Me, "Okay." I ordered a small cake for Larry and bought him a pair of white sneakers and a black down jacket that were quite expensive for me. I also booked a table at a Western restaurant near the location Larry gave me and left the cake and clothes there. At 8 o'clock that night, I arrived at the club. Pushing open the door to the private room, which insulated the loud noise, I saw at least 20 people, boys and girls, all clearly high school students, sitting or standing around. I found Larry leaning against the most prominent spot on the sofa, and I pinched his cheek to sober him up. "Let's go, teacher is here to pick you up, little Mr. Wilton." Larry looked up with hazy eyes. Seeing it was me, he naturally grabbed my hand, stood up, and rested his head on my shoulder. "Teacher, I'm so happy you could come. Let's go." His breath tickled my ear as he spoke. As he followed me to the door of the room, he turned back to the others and said, "I've already paid the bill. You guys can do whatever you want for the rest of the night. I have something important to do, so I have to leave for now." Once we were out of the club, Larry dropped the drunken act. So he was faking it. "Teacher, where are we going?" Larry asked curiously. "Just follow me." I took his hand. I booked a table at a nearby restaurant. The warmth from his palm told me that the boy whose hand I was holding was tense and flushed all over. 10 minutes later, we arrived at the restaurant. After leading Larry to our table, I pretended to go to the restroom. Then, I returned carrying a cake with 18 candles, step by step, towards Larry. A waiter followed behind me, carrying the gift bag. This scene left Larry stunned for a long time. I lit the candles. "Happy 18th birthday. Make a wish, little rich boy." Even though this is all pretty cliché. Larry smiled at me, then obediently closed his eyes, made a wish, and blew out the candles. "Thank you. Because the person celebrating with me is you, teacher, I don't think it's cliché at all." Then he gave me the first slice of cake. It wasn't until after we left the restaurant that I gave Larry his gift. Although the gift wasn't expensive, I could tell that Larry really liked it. When the little rich boy is in a good mood, his ability to study is maxed out. As we were leaving, I whispered 2 sentences in his ear. "Larry, your target is my university. Do you dare to take on the challenge? If you dare, then I'll dare to teach you how to date." Training a pure-hearted high school boy requires a delicate balance of tension and release. In the second semester of his senior year, Larry's grades continued to climb. He scored 600 on the first mock exam, ranking in the top 50 of his grade. He scored 630 on the second mock exam, ranking in the top 20. He scored 650 on the third mock exam, ranking in the top 15. He was on track to get into a top-tier university. Another year, another round of college entrance exams. The day before the exams, I went to a temple in Beijing to pray for his success. The exams lasted for 3 days. For those 3 days, Larry didn't contact me. It wasn't until the exams were over that Larry called me. He said, "Teacher, I did better than I expected. I estimate my score is over 680. I might be able to get into your university." Hearing that, the knot of anxiety in my chest finally loosened. My bonus should be secure. With my dedicated tutoring and Larry's own hard work, he really did get into my university. I also received a transfer from Mrs. Wilton. Including the bonus, it was a total of $500,000 this time. I was one small step closer to accumulating the initial capital for my goal of developing a line of Chinese herbal cosmetics. I stayed in Beijing for the summer after my freshman year. I met up with Larry on a romantic summer evening. Even before the semester started, he had come to Beijing with his acceptance letter. He had gotten his hair professionally styled and wore light makeup that suited him. We had dinner and saw a movie together. That evening, we sat by a small lake, enjoying the breeze. After spending a year with Larry, I felt that he was actually a pretty great guy. He was worth a try. After all, besides his looks, he had a good character, many strengths, and certainly wasn't short on money. This time, I took the initiative. "Larry, if you still like me and want to be with me, then lean in and kiss me. If you don't, then..." Larry cupped my face in his hands. "I'm so damn in love with you, teacher. Can you let me kiss you a few more times? I've been thinking about this for a long time." I smiled softly. "Say that again." Larry declared loudly, "Jenny, Ms. Jenny, Larry, am so damn crazy about you. Can you let this student kiss you a few more times?" After his loud declaration, Larry was breathing heavily, his flushed face making him look especially flustered and cute. I tilted my head up and moved closer. You can kiss me as many times as you want, for as long as you want. Starting today, I'm all yours. After a year, Larry finally got his wish. You're a bad girl, you know that. I knew you were trouble the first time I met you. The first time I saw you, I knew you were the one. You've got me wrapped around your finger for life. You can't ever leave me unless I'm dead. I laughed softly in his ear. We'll see how you do, little rich boy.